Star Wars Unlimited enthusiasts, welcome to our final discussion video of every single card revealed to us for Star Wars 8th set, Ashes of the Empire. We've already reviewed the leaders, green, blue, the multicolored, and the leaders in our first video that will ping in YouTube for you all, in case you guys want to go see my thoughts on all of these colored cards. But today we're going to wrap it up with red, yellow, our villainy and heroic, as well, of course, ending it all, of course, with the colorless cards. And starting out with red, we got a nice TIE Striker for 2/1 for a 1-drop with Saboteur. Not a bad little ship in space to have. It can knock out most things that it needs to deal with, and does have Saboteur to dodge Sentinels. Still, not the worst thing in the world, but still, it's a nice little thing, especially if you're maybe a TIE Vader player and really want to play in red. That's not actually too bad of a 1-drop just to play in the board state. Also, it's actually not too bad even in like a sealed environment. Just being able to drop this in space for a 1 cost isn't too bad either. We talked about the mortar troop already of action, deal 1 damage of the 3 different ground units before our man gets crushed by a rock. The Tempest Lieutenant with just a 2/3/2 with Overwhelm. That's actually pretty nice. I really like that. That's a nice stat line there for a 2-drop. That can kill off most 2-drops to 3-drops, depending on what their defense is. And being able to deal with that is pretty nice overall. So nice 2-drop to add to Imperial. We have Van's Snub Fighter. When a friendly unit attack ends, if it dealt combat damage for base, give an advantage token to this unit. So kind of nice of being able to give this a whole bunch of advantage token, because again, with a friendly unit attack ends, if it dealt combat damage for base, gain an advantage token. So being able to, of course, give all those advantage tokens to this, to Van's Snub Fighter, being able to then attack with Van's Snub Fighter with all of that advantage, and then as well being able to use Van's effect to allow you to then destroy one of those tokens to deal a damage to your opponent, which is pretty nice overall. Not actually a bad ship. It's definitely going to feel a little better with Vane, just because that's how it wants to go, but still actually not too bad of a card even outside of any deck. So as long as you play red villainy, this is not actually that bad of a card, because if you can get enough guys to attack, this thing can get pretty out of hand for a space vehicle. We have the Praetorian Elite with just Grit. That's really about it. A nice 5/4 4-drop with Grit. Not too bad. We got Justifer. When played on attack, you may deal 1 damage to this unit. If this unit is defeated this way, give an advantage token to a unit. So, in essence, you just get to swing. It pings itself in the face 5 times, and then once it dies, it gives something an advantage token. I mean, your opponent can easily just kill that any time, because the fact of the matter is it only gives an advantage token when it technically dies once and for all by its own hand, not by battle. But still, I guess it's okay as a unit that you could probably use. Again, being a 4/5 5-drop in space is okay. I don't think you'll see a lot of play, but still, I guess it's okay. But honestly, there's a lot better, like, if you're going to drop a 5-drop in red, most of the time, in my opinion, what you're really going to want to do is utilize the Punishing One. That's a lot better, where you can ping damage and stuff like that. That feels a little better than this one. But still, it's not too bad of a card effect, if I'm being a little honest. But not the best card, really. The Cyborg Mech with a Grit with a 3/7, by the way, so this thing can get pumped up to a 9 hitting unit with Grit. This might be pretty good for people in sealed. When played, either deal 2 damage to undamaged ground unit or 5 damage to a damaged ground unit. So pretty nice, like, on when played skill of being able to do 2 damage to a damaged unit or 5 damage to a damaged unit. You kind of could tell that maybe this is something for Cad Bane to utilize, because then you can go Cad Bane's effect to then ping a guy that has 2 or more health points for 1 damage, and then drop the Cyborg Mech to then allow for it to deal 5 damage to that damaged unit. just something to think about. But nonetheless, it's a pretty nice card. Being able to just deal 2 damage to even an undamaged thing is pretty nice as well, especially if that thing only has 2 health points altogether. That's a nice way just to remove things and bodies just right off the board with an on-play skill. Not mentioning that then you can grid it up as well, so it can get pretty out of hand, pretty nice. Also, consider this for a 𝐒𝐍𝐍𝐿 from JTL, because 𝐒𝐍𝐍𝐿 can ping this for 1 damage, and is able to get that grid to go up a little faster, which is pretty nice overall. I think that would actually could be something. And then because the 𝐒𝐍𝐍 can ping stuff as well, this could come down and be able to use that 5 damage mark as well. I think a 𝐒𝐍𝐍, I'm not sure if she plays enough in red from JTL, but something to consider if you're looking for an interesting strategy with maybe 𝐒𝐍𝐍 JTL red. We've already talked about Ninth Sister, a really good legendary. It's just basically they discard a card, so it's force throw plus an OB trigger, which is pretty nice overall. So yeah, I mean, a 7/8/7 that, because we still have credit tokens, can be dropped out. Even dropping it for an 8/7 is pretty nice. I think oh shoot, apologies. Dryden Voss might like this if you're a big fan of Voss Red. This might be a very strong unit for you to consider playing in that, because you'll be able to, of course, utilize Voss's backside to then allow it to ambush. So when you can get a win play trigger, discard a card, your opponent discards a card from their hand, and then you can get ambushed into something, as well as getting that overwhelm trigger going off there as well. So something to consider. I still think this is a very strong legendary. I do think this has some very good playability and red villainy 100%. Not mentioning that this can go into Boba as well, because it's dealing non-combat damage. So Boba could technically tap it. Boba is, for some reason, been destroyed or knocked out. You can use it to deal the 1 indirect damage, because you're not dealing combat damage. You're dealing damage. You're just doing damage that is not combat. Remember, Boba does any non-combat damage. You can tap it to do 1 indirect damage to your opponent. Something to consider for Boba, especially if he's been knocked off the fighter with upgrade hate, or has simply just been destroyed. We have the Eviscerator. This, of course, Starship comes from Battlefront 2, that's where we got the story. That's a little sad. Battlefront 2 really didn't get much representation. There was a really good storyline with Iden and all of Inferno Squad, and we really didn't get anything for Inferno Squad. That was a big part of that whole thing. We've gotten some, points out to the show, but we don't really get like anything major point out to the video game, but we didn't get anything like major. Like, I thought we were going to get another Iden leader in this set, 100%. So anyways, advantage tokens on friendly unit lose all abilities. Basically, this is just a big slap in the face. If you remember the 8-cost Persecutor, I think was the name, from Spark Rebellion, that your opponent, the first event your opponent played each turn was turned off. So basically, this comes out and knocks off advantage tokens, lose all abilities. They aren't defeated after combat. So technically, this is really nice for you. For some reason, I read that as your opponent's advantage tokens lose all abilities, which would not be good for your opponent to lose. But this is pretty nice. So if you're looking for some reason to keep your advantage tokens active on your guy, it's not too bad. And then when play on attack, give 2 advantage tokens to each other friendly unit. So I mean, this has the ability to get a little bit out of hand. It's not too bad actually for a Piet red strategy, because the fact is, because Piet typically plays red or blue, I think this might push Piet to play a little bit more red. Because being able to drop this onto the battlefield and then being able to then swing it and unplayed and swing it and start giving advantage tokens to every other friendly units, and those advantage tokens don't disappear, you can make a whole lot of capital class vessels just literally be impossible to knock off the board state unless your opponent has a way to kill them immediately. So it could potentially do that, as well as because Piet flips on 5, you can reduce this to a play cost of 6, meaning that you can then replay it on your next following turn to be able to immediately be able to give advantage tokens to units, and then you turn off all your advantage tokens abilities, meaning they don't get defeated when when the unit either attacks or defends, meaning that they always get that +1 on it. So something strongly consider for Piet 100%, why we still have them in rotation. We have Deadly Vulnerability. If attached unit would take damage, it takes twice as much damage instead. The attack unit, while the unit is defending, the attacker loses Overwhelm. So basically you kind of just throw it onto something that you don't like, and then you just kind of swing and you do double damage to kill it. That's pretty much it. It's an okay card. I mean, the attacker loses Overwhelm, so it's pretty nice. I mean, I guess if you really needed to protect yourself against something against Overwhelm, but I mean, I like the top effect, don't get me wrong. I mean, being able to take the unit takes double damage is pretty nice. And being able to literally kill most things by going any form of damage on it, it takes double that and then can die off. So, it's okay. We'll call it okay. And then, of course, Operation Sender, which we kind of see right here, of deal 5 damage to your base, then deal 5 damage to each unit. Now, the payoff, now, again, people are going to say, well, is it really worth it to deal 5 damage to my own base just so I could deal 5 damage to each unit? In my opinion, there's enough different ways to restore damage on bases that can be easily a very strong card. Being able to nuke most board states, like if you're playing against certain like matchups where they're spamming tokens, being able to use this to burn tokens, or being able to use this to help you kill off most things. So, I mean, the trade-off is that you deal 5 damage to your face, and in a format where I'm a little concerned that we are moving into maybe keeping an aggro format very much strong, especially with support coming out, this might not see a lot of play, because do you risk playing in an aggro format where that 5 damage actually pushes you further to your death, rather than being that benefit of dealing 5 damage to each unit? I mean, don't get me wrong, this is actually a pretty good guard for Twin Suns, because then you could deal a whole bunch of damage to everybody's board state and maybe clean up the entire board. Do be mindful, it's 5 damage to each unit, meaning it does ping up your own as well, but still, it's not too bad of a card. Just be a little cautious that in normal Premier, still keeping into an aggro format, like I think we are going into with post once we get Ash cards, I do believe that this might not be the best card, but arguably it can be there specifically if you can find a way to re-heal off your base. Especially if you're in blue with enough restore that blue has, you could probably still play this without any consequences. Just be a little bit uncautious that you might have to balance that idea. Is the 5 damage to each unit worth it for the 5 damage to your base? Still, it's a pretty nice card overall. Inspired Recruit, I don't know why this got reprinted automatically this quick. Inspired Recruit came out in it's a law card. I believe it is a Lawless Time card. I believe that is its first printing that it had. Yes. So tell me this. We have this in a Lawless Time already. Why the heck did we need it printed in the exact same rotation that a Lawless Time is in? Lawless Time is in the B rotation. Remember, the A rotation is JTL, LOF, and Secrets of Power. The unlettered rotation was, of course, Spark Rebellion, Shadows of the Galaxy, and Twilight of the Republic. Why did we reprint this? I don't know. It's just here now. Doesn't beat me. It wasn't like it was rotating out once we got Homeworlds. It exists. That's all we're gonna say. Waste of a reprint. We have Green Leader. When defeated, may deal 2 damage to a unit. This is a nice object for Luke JTL. Be ready to see this running around a lot in Luke JTL. I mean, this is a nice fighter that deals 3 damage and on death can deal 2 damage to a unit, allowing you to also combo that with Luke's ping is pretty nice. So, be ready to see a good amount of this running around in Luke. Actually get ready to see this probably run around in a lot of Red Heroic strategies. This is just a nice 2-drop, 100%. We have Honorable Night Owl with support and raid 1, so meaning on play, then the unit that you attack with does get raid 1. Not too bad, a 2/2/2. We've already talked about the Grogu. This legendary is downright nice, especially because Red Heroic has a lot of things to play with, and the ability to just take the initiative and you may attack with a unit is just super nice, especially because, like I said, when we first got it revealed, there are a lot of times where you're forced to take the initiative because you need to either try to counteract your opponent's plays, counteract something, and you may always have just like a unit standing that you wish you could attack with, but you're forced to take the initiative because of circumstances. This now doesn't punish you for doing that. This allows you now to basically just take the initiative and still swing with that unit that you really wanted to swing with. So expect this to see a lot of play running around. This is probably going to be a very, very strong card coming into this format, 100%. And I believe this is also the promo for the Store Showdown as well. I believe it is also going to be our promo. Yep, the Champion Stat one. Folks, I expect probably this season, depending on how this legendary shapes up into this meta, expect if you're going to go to your store championships, expect to see this card being heavily competed for, and all of that. Now, again, we just saw that with the Mall. The Mall got shown off as the Store Showdown promo, but it kind of fell off immediately because no one was really playing Mall. So if Grogu really isn't going to be played in the meta, then this will fall off as well. That's the thing. If this is played and this is meta relevant, people are going to hunt it down just like Queen Amidala was. But still, a very strong card. We already read R5D4 with support and non-attack defeat upgrades on the defending unit. Pretty nice. And then we have it's on the all upgrades on the defending unit. So meaning if you want to get rid of a space upgrade JTL leader that is in Luke Skywalker, you do have to have a space unit attacking that guy to knock it off. Dengar Danger Squadron Wingmen on attack, give an advantage token to another unit. Really nice, of course, for Ezra because of Ezra's effect. So being able to give an advantage token on attack and then use Ezra's ability to give another advantage token. Pretty nice overall. A nice 4/4/5 as well as really good for Luke Skywalker JTL as well. But so I expect to see that running around because again, this is just a really nice fighter to attack with. We have already read Han Solo, the specialty rare card from, of course, the Luke Skywalker starter deck with Saboteur, and then when played, deal 3 damage to this unit, give 3 advantage tokens to a unit. Then we have Alphabet Squadron U-Wing with Overwhelm, and when the regroup phase starts, give an advantage token to a unit. Really nice. Just being able to immediately start giving out advantage tokens immediately is pretty nice overall. So yeah, pretty cool card, 100%. Again, another nice unit potentially for Luke. Actually, no, because doesn't have the fighter keyword, so it's not going to really be utilized for Luke JTL, but a really good card to consider for Ezra, 100%. And then we have the Kachori Militia Walkers with Hidden, and then when an enemy ground unit attacks your base, raid this unit, you only use the ability once each round. That's a pretty nice effect, don't get me wrong, 100%. That's a nice effect. Being able to also come in hidden, and your opponent just happens to hit your base, you can get a 4-die attacking with hidden, meaning your opponent can't even respond to it restanding itself. So, pretty nice, 100%. Now, it does have to, the ground unit does have to attack the base, so it can't be anything space related, so it does have to be ground. But still, I think ground is still very much a very viable area. This could probably see some good play in your shield formats as well, just because it's a nuisance to deal with. Again, coming in hidden and then being able to potentially restand is pretty nice overall. We've already talked about Zeb, just a really good card for Ezra overall, and just a really good legendary overall, I guess I should say as well. When played, give 3 damage token to another unit. When a friendly upgrade is defeated, deal 1 damage to a base. That's whenever a friendly upgrade is defeated, meaning that advantage tokens getting murked off automatically are dealing 3 damage to a base. Because it should recognize every advantage token being destroyed. I don't know how the timing of advantage tokens are going to work or how that's being FAQ'd. Does Zeb recognize the destruction of all the advantage tokens together as one thing? So say, for instance, you give 3 advantage tokens to another unit, that unit attacks, and then all 3 advantage tokens are destroyed. Does that technically be 3 damage to your base? Or is that 1 damage to a base because Zeb recognizes the timing of that the credit tokens all died at the exact same timing rather than each credit token individually dying. So just something to strongly consider. I would ask your judges what they what they're seeing, what they're hearing from Fantasy Flight right now on how this is being ruled. But my guess would be 100% that this is being ruled that Zeb probably is seeing the destruction of every single advantage token individually, meaning that if you had 3 advantage tokens and they all died, even though they're dying simultaneously, Zeb recognizes each of them as an individual upgrade. So meaning that that would do 3 damage to that base. If that's the case, Zeb is just so much stronger, and Ezra is going to abuse this card 100% because of Ezra's effect already. So expect to see, like I thought, Ezra was going to be a potentially good or even really powerful leader for this upcoming format as an aggro leader. Yeah, no, this makes it even more powerful for that reason. We have Rash Action, attack with a unit. For this attack, it gets +1 and gains 1 attack ends. If the unit dealt combat damage to opponent's base, that opponent discards a card. Just a nice way to discard a card, as well as more nuisance ways of really trying to break the whole aspect of, hey, we want this game to be trading guys back and forth. Instead, we're just going to give you all the cards that punch your opponent's base and give you pluses for punching your opponent's base, which is pretty nice. So I 100% might be just playing a couple of these copies, even in like a Luke JTL strategy, just because then I'm able to attack with a fighter unit, give Luke's effect to go off, as well as being able to get the +1 and then being able to discard opponent's card, which is pretty nice. And then we have Reckless Sacrifice. Discard a card from your hand, deal 5 damage to unit that costs more than the discarded card. A nice little way to like discard something big and then ping 5 damage to a unit that costs more than the discarded card. So I mean, discard little guy, ping 5 damage on something big. It's an okay card. I do like the art of Green Leader trying to run the trench against the Executor and then eventually dying, crashing into it and destroying it. Moving on, we have our generic reds. We have All Might Hunter, just in Overwhelm. 1/4 is not too good, so I wish it was maybe 2/4, but that's about it. Clan 𝐕𝐈𝐃 Soldier, when defeated, you may defeat an upgrade. So pretty nice of just defeating any upgrade. Congratulations. More upgrade hate. More upgrade hate against our JTL leader friends. Just more ways to never let them do anything in this game. Besides Luke, because Luke can't be naturally knocked off his fighter. The only way to knock him off the fighter is kill the fighter he's attached to. We have an Ewok Warrior with 3/2 hit it. It's weird that they didn't really do much with Ewoks when we really were pushing for, this set being, about Ashes of the Empire. We have a lot of stuff that was really tailored to, the battle over Endor and the Battle of Endor and all of that. But we really didn't, get a lot of Endor stuff. We got a little smattering of, Ewoks. So it's well, let's hope Homeworlds gives us more Ewoks. But still, a 2/3/2 hidden is not too bad overall. That's a nice 2-drop there immediately. We have the Flagstar Attack Shuttle. When played, when defeated, you may give an advantage token to a unit. Just a nice ship to play down and give an advantage token to. 2/1's pretty light, but still not too bad. Migs Mayfield is back once again with support and on attack. Deal 1 damage to the defending unit. If the unit is upgraded, deal 2 damage to the defending unit instead. Okay effect. It really is only going to go off if you happen to be dealing. You're only going to get the 2 damage if you happen to hit something that is upgraded, but most time at least you can do 1 ping damage at most. But it's okay, not great. We got Axel Wolves. When you draw 1 or more cards, give an advantage token to this unit. So, what? I don't even know what draw mechanics we actually have right now that are in post-rotation. I know we have some pretty good ones in pre-rotation that are pretty nice. I guess we have the ability to use the Mandalorian to draw a card there because he gains himself a shield token. But I actually don't know what all our other draw cards are. I know there's some good draw support in Eternal. This would be a good thing for 𝐕𝐈𝐃, the leader from Shadows of the Galaxy for Eternal. But other than that, I really don't know what draw support he's getting to allow him to give advantage tokens. So, just a kind of a meh. We got Desert Sharpshooter. When played, may do 2 damage to upgraded ground unit. Again, they're really pushing on this upgraded thing because they're expecting advantage tokens to be very much viable in this. I don't know if that will be the case. We'll have to see, but again, again, it kind of just matters where the meta goes. Like I said, credit tokens, where you think that, oh man, you can't wait to see a meta with credit tokens, and credit tokens really kind of fell by the wayside. Like the only leader that really took a real strong advantage of credit tokens was like Chewbacca, but Chewbacca really only used that because it was a more of a ping strategy, like a board control ping strategy. I mean, the only real leader that actually had like strong advantage with credit tokens was just Lando, and that was really about it. I mean, every deck had a little bit of difference it could use with credit tokens, but Lando was like the only one that really felt like the best. Other decks were just playing like usually Max Rebo Ban to get some credit tokens to do things, but yeah. I guess they're hoping that advantage tokens get some upgrades, but I guess this is pretty nice because it just says upgrades, so shields, but which would be a waste because the shields would take the damage. Advantage tokens, experience tokens, upgrades of natural order and stuff like that. So, it's really dependent on if you're playing anything upgraded. If your opponent has that stuff that's upgraded. We got the Pegasus Tri-Wing of when play, you may defeat a friendly upgrade if you do ready this unit. A pretty nice card for Vayne overall, because Vayne, again, is going to have to play enough upgrades to allow him to use his effect. So this is not too bad for you to play in Vayne. We got the Razor Crest. As a reminder, if you want the all-art Razor Crest that looks like the one from the movie, you had to go see the Mandalorian Grogu movie. So you had to actually see it 3 times because you needed each individual pack came with only a Grogu and then a Razor Crest. Has Saboteur, and then on attack, you may discard a card from your hand. If you do, this unit gets +2 for this attack. Just kind of a nice way to just go up to a 5 attack is not too bad overall. Not mentioning, I don't know when the timing for, I guess it could matter some timing, because I was thinking maybe you could get some weird timing with aggressive negotiations. When aggressive negotiations checks your hand to give the +1. I guess you could go because aggressive negotiations could trigger first of the on attack and then resolve its effect and then go for the Razor Crest effect. I guess you could see that as well. But again, it would have to revolve around when exactly those units resolve for their attacks. When they resolve their effects. Can you have aggressive negotiation resolve first before Razor Crest resolves? Or attempts to resolve. So, pretty interesting nonetheless. It's an okay ship. We had the Psydop Pirate Skiff of just with Saboteur, a nice 4/5 Saboteur. As a reminder, most of the vanilla stuff we are going to check out are never going to see any real competitive play or any real premier play. Mainly most of this is just for sealed play, and that's really it. The Star Fortress Heavy Bomber, yay, my favorite bomber. The big thing that blew up very early in the movie. When played, may deal 6 damage to a non-unit ground unit. A waste of time. It's an okay thing. Again, Resistance hasn't naturally played a lot in red. I don't know if really that's going to help you push into playing more Holdo. But it's not the worst thing that you could play. That's definitely for sure. It's not too bad either. It's just not really all that great. We got a Wookiee Chieftain. Get me in there so I can hit them with my sword. Just take me with my tank. Oh no, he's not on a tank, he's on a foot. But I was making the meme of when people rush in guard from 40k, where they take in their tanks and the guy's on the top with the saber, joking about how he needs to get close with his vehicle so he can stab the enemy from the top of his vehicle. Anyways, a 5 cost 4/6 grit, not too bad. An imposing Scout Walker of when played, deal 3 damage to a ground unit. If it's defeated this way, give 3 damage tokens to this unit. Just a nice way to mop up little ground units or things that have low damage. They already have a good amount of damage on them. And you just need to wipe it out. It's not too bad of a card overall. Just a nice way to do some chip damage. The Onyx Cinder with hidden, and then gives all other units gain hidden as well. I mean, that's a pretty nice card, don't get me wrong. I mean, the ability to give all the stuff you play for the turn hidden, meaning that your opponent basically can't target it, is very, very nice, especially if the turn you get to play it out. So, and especially if your opponent wants to deal with it, they'd have to deal with a 6/6 ship. So, it's okay. I think there are some good applications of having the ability to play stuff hidden and then protecting it. But is it overall going to be really strong? I really don't think so, but still, it's an okay card for what it can do. The Nabi White Ice Spiders spooters everywhere, with hidden and when played for each enemy unit, give an advantage token to this unit. So basically, you play it, it comes in hidden, it can potentially maybe get 2 to 3, but again, it's a 7-drop thing that may get played out. Not definitely something you see in Premiere, but maybe something you could play in Sealed. It isn't overly bad, especially because it comes in hidden, meaning your opponent can't just immediately attack it to wipe out the advantage tokens, meaning that you can easily just take the initiative and have this unit being swinging with whatever advantage, how many advantage tokens you were able to throw onto it. We have Boba Fett's Rancor of when played, deal 5 damage to your base, then deal 5 damage to each enemy ground unit, then deal 5 damage to that, deal 5 damage to an enemy ground unit, and then you just deal the same, do it again. So basically, in essence, we could have just printed this, deal 5 damage to your base, and then deal 5 damage to an enemy ground unit, then deal 5 damage to that same unit. In essence, just deal 10 damage to it. If it dies before the secondary effect is wasted. So you could have just written it as take 5 to your base, deal 10 to an enemy unit. And on attack me, deal 1 damage to a base for every 5 damage on your base. So will this see some play? It probably is going to see some play in like Eternal for Anakin Skywalker Data Vault or Anakin Skywalker Colossus, because Anakin's going to be able to easily abuse this on attack trigger. So yeah, I mean, is it good? It's kind of meh. I don't think it's going to see any play, but it's pretty neat. I mean, the top effect's okay, but the problem is you're dealing 5. Again, it's much like the exact same thing we said with this. Do you value that the fact that we may be going and still in a aggro format? Do you really have less value to your base for your life to just deal potentially 10 damage to a unit? To a single unit, by the way, not like 5 damage to a unit and then 5 damage to another unit. No, it's 5 damage to a unit and then 5 damage again to that same unit. So that really doesn't work. And the on attack's okay. I mean, I guess you can try to push for a game off of that, but I don't think it's a good legendary at all. It's a meh legendary. I don't think it's bad by any means. I just think it's kind of meh for what we were supposed to be expecting from legendaries. I mean, think about it. For Red's legendaries, we've got a really strong Zeb that's probably going to see a lot of real good play. We got Grogu just going to be mass played in everything that can, any Red heroic strategy. And then Ninth Sister's just a very strong Red villainy one. And then we come down here to meh. So that's all we're going to say about it. It's meh. We have the Boken Saber, attached to a non-vehicle unit. Attached unit gains when attack ends, give an advantage token to this unit. So basically, you can just pump it up next turn for advantage. That's basically about it. It's still a pretty nice card, don't get me wrong. I do really hope that advantage tokens make more of a splash than credit tokens did. Mark my words, I believe this is supposed to be art from Skeleton Crew, and I believe Skeleton Crew is post the Empire, but I don't know exactly in the timeline when Skeleton Crew is. But anyways, mark my words, attached to a damaged unit that you just gains Overwhelm. I guess you get a +2 to that, but meh. I mean, if it gave Grit, that would have been pretty nice, but Overwhelm is not worth it on a damaged unit. Unfettered, even for a +2. Unfettered Ambition, when played for each upgrade on attached unit not named advantage, give an advantage token to a unit. In essence, if as long as your opponent's playing anything besides advantage, I guess you get an advantage token. Kind of really meh, and it's kind of situational to how your opponent is playing. While, yes, shielded and experienced tokens are still going to be played, do just be mindful that I don't know if this card's going to see that that's going to be enough to really justify this card's +1/+1 anyway. So it's kind of meh. The Whistling Birds, though, like I said, this is a very good legendary. I expect to see this one running around a lot, especially because it's mono red. Attached to a non-vehicle unit. Attached unit gains when attack ends. If the unit dealt combat damage to an opponent's base, deal 2 damage to each unit that opponent controls in that unit's arena. So meaning that you can only really do it to ground, unless for some reason you decide to stick it on a space whale, because you can. Space whales are not vehicles; they are units. They are non-vehicle units. Other than that, it's just a really good way to attack your opponent's base, and then being able to chip damage their ground is really nice. Again, just a very strong legendary in my opinion. Moving on, we have Follow Me. Attack with a unit. After completing the attack, give 3 advantage tokens to a unit. Again, a very strong, just literally attack with a guy. After attack completes, give 3 advantage tokens and being able to go from there. So again, more of these cards where we are not really playing attack my opponent. Attack our opponent's units to try to trade and be more mindful of that. No, just attack our opponent's base and be more aggro. That's what Star Wars Unlimited always wanted to be, aggro. Intimidation, if you control a unit with 4 or more power, just draw 2 cards. Hey, look, everybody, we have Axe Wolves. Can finally actually get his advantage token. Not too bad. I mean, it's definitely more of a steel card than a premier card, but still not too bad. I could see it in some random premier decks, just because if you have enough, like 4 level of power, show you in 4 more power, plus being able to use that with advantage token, it's not too bad to draw 2. It's more of a steel card than anything else. And then, of course, we have Treacherous Minefield. Space Whales! Choose an arena for this phase. Each unit that arena gains on attack deal 2 damage to this unit. A pretty nice card overall. I think this really can see some very interesting play, especially as a side deck card. I could definitely see this if Vader JTL continues to be very strong in the meta. I could definitely see this coming in and being able to play against all the TIE Fighter tokens, because then you can easily just have each TIE Fighter literally blow itself up, which is kind of funny. We have Reckoning. Deal damage to a unit equal to that total amount of damage on all units you control. It's okay for what it can do. I mean, it's pretty nice. If you got enough grit guys running around, then this is actually pretty well off to allow you to do stuff with that. But other than that, I don't like it. It's okay. And final red card is Galvanized Leap. Anakin, don't! I have the high ground! Ready a unit that was damaged this phase. I could definitely see this being played a little bit as well. Just being able to, like, for instance, being able to go, and this is another thing for Asajj JTL, being able to, because it just says ready unit that was damaged this phase. So meaning that when Asajj swings, Asajj can ping the vehicle she's on, and then of course she naturally gives that vehicle grit while she's attached to it as her leader effect, as her upgrade effect. So then it can swing, gain grit. Then you can just go Galvanized Leap, because again, I think Asajj Ride's pretty nice. And then you just restand that unit, swing again, grit it up some more, and deal more damage. So just something to really think about. I think there are some very good playability with Galvanized Leap for a lot of aggro strategies. Just being able to find a way to ping a unit and then just restand that unit and continue to punch your opponent in the face. So just some things to think about overall. But overall, red, it's aggro. I don't really know what to tell you, folks. There's a lot of aggro in here. There's a lot of really strong stuff overall. And honestly, red's legendaries are very, very strong. Nine Sister, Grogu, the Whistling Birds, all of these legendaries are just going to be super strong. As for the Jabba's Rancor, that's a little bit of meh. But nonetheless, folks, it's red. It's always going to be aggro. It's giving out advantage tokens. It's doing a lot of interesting stuff overall. But yeah, I mean, it's overall just aggro. What do you expect from red these days? All right, moving on, we have yellow. So we have the Emperor's Message. We already talked about this. It just comes with support and non-attack ready a resource, which is not too bad overall. So basically, you can just ready the resource you played for the Emperor's Messenger. Is it bad? No. But is it good? No. It's okay. Because again, all it gives is support. But again, I do expect support to kind of turn us into this really interesting aggro format altogether. But we'll have to see. I still think we're moving it from the aggro format of Law to the aggro format of Ash. And I just don't think it's really fun or even really interactive if we're just moving from one aggro format to another aggro format. We'll have to see. Again, the true test of what these cards are going to do is going to be in the Galactic Championship. Again, a lot of people are testing, but no one really knows what we're going to be seeing, what really is going to be good or anything like that. Because again, this comes out 1 week before Galactic officially starts. So again, a lot of people tested. It does not mean testing is going to be the correct answer, because someone could bring up some deck that you didn't even test for and then win the event or win it all. So there is a lot of different things coming up, but I think support is definitely going to just keep us in an aggro format. We have the Pretty Bandit, a nice 4/1 for 2-drop is just really nice. This kills off most 3 costs as well as some 4 costs right off the battlefield if your opponent has to swing into it. Just a really nice card there. Could definitely see some good Premier play just for being a 4/1. Also could see some really good seal play. Shin Hadi's Fiend Fighter of when defeated, you may give 2 advantage tokens to a unit. If this unit wasn't defeated by combat damage, give 3 tokens instead. So basically, if your opponent pinged, killed this, or if you ran into like Boba JTL, and you can ping it for the indirect damage, that's not combat damage. So basically, you can just do that. But nonetheless, it's a pretty nice card. I think we've also checked that out already. We have Phoenix Shroud with Ambush and Saboteur. Again, nothing too bad about that. Nice thing to ambush into, of course, shield tokens and then remove those, and then being able to swing is pretty nice. Emperor's Champion with shielded and Saboteur. Again, not too bad. That's all it is. Snub Fighter Squadron with ambush, and then when played, deal 1 damage to a space unit. Real nice for Vader JTL, just a really nice fighter for Vader JTL to consider because it does have the ambush trigger as well as when played, deal 1 damage to a space unit. So just something for Vader JTL to consider, maybe like a side deck card for it. Not too bad. We have 𝐒𝐓𝐾𝐄. When defeated, you may distribute a number of advantage tokens equal to this unit's power among friendly units. Yeah, so basically it dies and then you can give 6 advantage tokens to anything. If you have found a way to put some grit like trigger on this, then you can actually give out even more because it recognizes when that power. It should recognize when it's defeated how much power it had because of the grit, but I don't think it will. But nonetheless, I mean, giving out 6 advantage tokens, that's pretty nice. That is pretty nice indeed. We have our first legendary of yellow being Gorian Shard's Corsair, and this one I think is a really cool written up effect that I really, really like. Damage dealt by friendly underworld cards is unpreventable, and then when play on attack, deal 2 damage to a unit, meaning that shields do not protect you from taking damage. All damage that any underworld unit deals to a person automatically just straight up goes straight into the unit. I think that is a very interesting card text right there, and I do want to see more cards like this that have very interesting text that allow for damage to actually happen. I think that's a really cool like wording mechanic that we can have there and all of that. So really, really cool card. I like that 100%. Definitely expect to see this probably playing in Eternal a little bit more than Premier. I think Premier, it could have some playability, but I think Eternal definitely is going to have a stronger playability because of Cad Bane from Shadows of the Galaxy, where anytime you play an Underworld unit, your opponent can choose where to take damage. Thanks to this, if your opponent, no matter where your opponent takes damage, it straight goes through that damage as well. So meaning that if your opponent puts on a shield guy, the shield doesn't prevent it. It just takes 2 straight damage to the face. I don't know if the shield token gets removed because of taking the damage. I know technically shield tokens can't protect against indirect, but you don't lose the shield token. I wonder how they're going to word this if this is pseudo-like indirect damage where you take the damage but you don't lose the shield token. Just something to strongly consider. I really do like the wording of this card art. I don't know if it's the best unit out there 100% for a legendary, but it's a pretty interesting one. I'll give it interesting. I don't know if it will be good, but I'll give it interesting because I like what's on its text. I like that wording. The Executor, we already talked about this. It gets +1 for each friendly upgrade on other friendly units, and then when played, give an advantage token to each other friendly unit. Know where to hide. You give Sentinel to a guy, but also give them -2 to their attack. So, I mean, that's pretty nice being able to maybe potentially give a guy that only has 2 attack points or 1 attack point, like Sentinel, so that it has to guard, and then being able to punch into that or destroy it and take less damage. I don't know. I guess we'll have to kind of see. It's okay. It's actually not too bad of a card either to put on something like the how dealing 2 damage and forcing it to be a Sentinel at that point, and you can kill over it with stuff. It's okay. And then there is no conflict. When play, return a number of upgrades on attach unit to their owner's hand. Again, really nice to deal with JTL leaders besides, of course, Luke Skywalker, as well as other upgrades, but do be mindful that you do have a plus. If you put it on one of your opponent's units, you do have to be mindful that you're giving them a +2/+2. But a lot of times there are different ways to really. This could still be very useful, even giving them the +2/+2. So it's something to consider. You can also, of course, return a bunch of advantage tokens if one of your opponent's units is abusing it, so that you could remove all that. But it's okay for what it does. Rehabilitation, choose a non-leader unit, give it that unit -3 for the phase, then take control of it. At the start of the regrouping phase, the owner takes control of it. So basically, in essence, what you're going to do is you're going to give something -3 attack, take control of it, and you're going to swing it and kill it against something on your opponent's side of the board state, and then allowing it to trigger its win defeated effects for you, or just getting it off the board altogether. That's kind of just what you're going to do with the unit, because again, it doesn't bounce back to your opponent's hand. It bounces back immediately back to their control. So it goes back to their side of the board state. So what I think this card is just meant to do is that you're meant to take it, punch into your opponent's stuff with something, harm it, hit it, do no damage, and then you essentially just die with a unit, and you just basically you removed one of your opponent's units for nothing. That's really about it. I mean, it's not too bad. I mean, I think if you're going to take something, Commandeer, I think it's just a little bit better for vehicles because it does bounce it back to your opponent's hand, and Commandeer is mono yellow. But still, I mean, being able to take control of something and potentially, ruin an opponent's plan of attacking with that unit or anything like that, and potentially even being able to run it into something or use one of your own guys' effects to kill it off or something like that. So there are just little things you can do with that to get rid of nuisance things that your opponent controls. So I think this could see maybe play like a 1 or 2 random copy in a certain deck, or even see like maybe Fringe play in a side deck. But still, it's not too bad overall for what it can do. We have the Open Circle Ace, a 1/2/2. Hey, look everybody, a nice card for another 1-drop that is really nice for Han JTO. I could definitely tell you we'll be putting this over the Republic Y-Wing 100 times over in Han JTO, because I think this is just a whole lot better than what we have. We have Carson Teva with support, and then while attacking, this unit deals combat damage for defenders. So basically you get first strike for whatever you're attacking with, which is that's a really nice effect. I do always like the ability of this first strike stuff, because I think there's a lot of strong playability of being able to utilize a first strike effect to be able to knock off one of your opponent's units before you take any combat damage. I will never look first strike in the gifted in the eye ever. So that's a pretty nice on attack support trigger. By the way, he does not have this naturally on his attack. This is just a one-time use when he is played for his support. So you do have to take with that it's a one-time use first strike, but that's really about it. It's not too bad at being able just to have a one-time use first strike. It's still just very good. The Mando's N1 Starfighter with support and on-attack. You may exhaust a friendly non-upgraded leader. If you do, this unit gets +2 for this attack. As a reminder, your opponent can't be upgraded, so basically they can't have advantage tokens or anything like that to gain +2 the attack. I mean, you really are only ever going to be able to get this effect off when your leader is deployed. If your leader is dead, this effect is just pointless. So, I mean, need a support effect he has, especially you can give itself on attack. So if you have a leader that has Sentinel or anything like that, you can utilize it to, of course, just be able to constantly be able to protect your life and then swing. But other than that, it's not all that good. So moving on. I have felt like while the rares are definitely more like the rares are harder to pull, I wish they were a little more powerful for what they are. They increase the level of legendaries, decrease the pull rate on rares, but rares a lot of times are like they're hit and miss for what they can do. And I kind of wish rares, if we're going to make rares a little harder to pull than legendaries, can we make some rares a little better or make them a little more powerful rather than this, where it may not even be able to triggerable? Yeah. Moving on, we have Blade 3. When your base is dealt damage, give an advantage token to this unit. That is actually pretty nice. I really do like that. Being able to buff up Blade 3 every single time your base is attacked, which is pretty nice. Being able to then put some more damage on that is pretty nice overall. So just something to strongly consider. I think this doesn't have much playability. I like the effect though. Again, most stuff we're never going to see really play at all outside of sealed, but still, you know, maybe I want to play something like this just because I can give advantage tokens and do some gimmicky stuff with it. Who knows? But nonetheless, it's not too bad of a fighter. Inspiring Veteran. Hey, look, another resistance unit outside of green and outside of red, which is technically where Holdo wants to be playing resistance units. When play, give an advantage token to up to 3 exhausted units. That's really about it. It's okay. I mean, being able to give advantage tokens to up to 3 exhausted units is okay. It's not the best, but it's not the worst. So, it's okay. We have Kalen Beck. Now this is good, especially if you are a Qui-Gon Jinn enjoyer. This is a mandatory play in Qui-Gon Jinn. We're also going to see this new kind of gimmick with 0 power for, as we've seen now a couple yellow cards of give -3 to units and give them like minuses to all of their power all the way down to 0. So Beck is a 3/4 with 3/5 with ambush, does have the force tag. Why I said Qui-Gon's very good. Why you're going to play this in Qui-Gon is because of the ambush trigger. And then the secondary effect is okay. This unit gets +1 for each other unit friendly and enemy with 0 power. So are you really going to be able to get that off? No, I have no idea if that's ever going to really come up at all for that effect. What I like about him most, especially as a Qui-Gon Jinn enjoyer, is the fact he's an ambusher on a 4 cost that can basically ambush, give you the force, and basically you can utilize Qui-Gon Jinn's effect to bounce him back to hand, then play a 3 cost or less guy onto the battlefield and go from there, and then have another guy swing and gain the force as well. So again, I really like that because again, I'm a big Qui-Gon Jinn fan, so being able to have another guy that is able to generate the force on an attack trigger nonetheless is really nice. So if you needed the force for any reason, whether you're an Arva Chris player or a Qui-Gon Jinn player, this is just a great card overall to play in those decks, and a very good one. Outside of maybe Force Leaders, I don't know if he's all that good, but I like him 100% for Force decks. 100%. Especially because for Qui-Gon Jinn, you can bounce him back to your hand again with that back and play a 3 cost, and then being able to have him again sitting in your hand ready to ambush out once again to give you the force is pretty nice. It's pretty nice. We have Heroic Purgle with ambush, and then while attacking using ambush, this unit gets +2, so basically it goes up to being able to deal 5 damage on its ambush. So that's really about it. It's okay. Sabine or Wren with, of course, Jedi, Mandalorian, and Spectre, which shielded, and then when one or more upgrades attached to this unit, you may exhaust a ground unit. So basically, if you can attach a bunch of upgrades to her, at least one upgrade to her, you're able to, of course, just exhaust a ground unit, including from shielded, and including herself. So that might just make her randomly something good to play around with, especially for Qui-Gon. That actually might be something interesting to play for Qui-Gon because she counts herself for when she plays out the effect. So that might be something for Qui-Gon Jinn to play around with, like maybe like 1 or 2 copies of Sabine. Just because you can play it for Qui-Gon's effect, give it shielded and trigger Sabine's effect. Not mentioning if the shielded gets knocked out, you can just bounce Sabine back with Qui-Gon and then play a 4 cost like Kaylin and then trigger ambush to play Kaylin, and Kaylin gets ambushed and stuff like that. So pretty neat. Nonetheless, it's a really cool card. I think being able to come down and immediately exhaust a unit on play is pretty nice. And every time this thing gets some form of upgrade, it just is able to exhaust a ground unit. That is a static effect, by the way, so it should recognize every single time it is upgraded. So pretty nice card there. Something to consider probably strongly for us as a Qui-Gon Jinn player. We have Ezra with support, and on attack, if this unit is upgraded, you may give a unit -3 for this phase. Again, this is pretty nice for something for Qui-Gon. I'm not so sold on this one being so good for Qui-Gon, but again, there might be something for it. Overall, we've already read him. I think he's an okay card for what 𝐒𝐍𝐻 does. Old man 𝐒𝐍𝐻 can do. Then we have the DDC Defender, attached to a non-vehicle unit. Attached unit gains on defense. You may deal 1 damage to a unit in this unit's arena and exhaust it. So basically, slap it onto a Sentinel and then basically allow it to trigger its effect. That's basically it. Nonetheless, this is our second, I think, on defense card as well. I think we've had the Kanto Bite Security had on defense, and now this has on defense. So pretty interesting to see us now getting some more card text of on defense. So nonetheless, a pretty cool card indeed. I mean, being able to deal 1 damage to a unit in that unit's arena and then exhaust it. So it's on defense, so your opponent attacks it, and then it triggers its effect, allowing you then to deal damage and rest something. So don't ever take resting and exhausting to what yellow can do best for granted. That is definitely going to help you in an aggro format, 100% being able to play up Sentinels and then using this to then allow you to rest stuff, forcing your opponent to have to play differently of how they're going to play their aggro. So I think it's a pretty good card overall. Not the best card, but a pretty interestingly good card. Then we have Fateful Goodbye. I do like this scene. I will admit it, this was a very tear-jerking scene when, of course, Luke Skywalker, after destroying all the Dark Troopers, comes in to take Grogu away, watching Pedro Pascal remove his helmet so he can hold a puppet of Grogu in his arms and say goodbye to it. And then you watch, and then he hands it away, and he just stands there watching Grogu disappear. It tugged at your heartstrings because you felt his pain of having to give up Grogu so that he could be trained as a Jedi. You felt like what Pedro Pascal had to feel as well of saying goodbye to a puppet, but still, it really felt on the heartstrings. It also helped that the music was very much beautifully orchestrated at that point to really push the point of that like goodbye between Grogu and the Mando, or Din Djarin. It really did pull at your heartstrings. If a friendly unit left this phase, left play this phase, distribute 3 advantage tokens among friendly units. If a friendly leader left play this phase, you can distribute 5 advantage tokens instead. So basically, in essence, play it if you're going to kill, if your stuff is dying or your leader is going to die or anything like that. That's basically about it. So it's a pretty nice card overall. Like the art of it, 100%. Not the best card effect, but it's an okay card effect. I think it could see some playability randomly in certain deck strategies, but still, I just like the art because it's actually I wish though we had the rest of the cast on the board, on the ship behind Jin, because I think it would have given more context. The one character we haven't seen actually from the Mandalorian is the girl. I forget her name, but she was from the Rebel. That it was from Alderaan when it was destroyed, and she of course only appears in season 1 and 2, and then the actor got in some trouble, so they dropped her out of the series for season 3. But still, I mean, it would have been. We don't have a unit card for her just yet. I don't know the reasoning for that, but still, not actually that bad of a card. But the effect could be a little better. I like the art though. We have Pelimoto, which shielded and then ignored the aspect penalties of the first non-unit card you play each phase. Really nice being able just to play it in yellow and then being able to play anything that is an event or upgrade, ignoring its aspect penalty. Well, that's actually pretty nice. So it's kind of the ability to use the splash space without using the splash space. Now, she doesn't survive very long, that's for sure, being a 1/1. But still, that's a pretty neat effect. I like that. I wish we had more cards that could do stuff like that. We got a Womp Rat with Hidden, and that's really about it. Just something to play in Sealed. The Amnesty Officer of when play exhaust a unit with 1 or more keywords. Just kind of like something that can exist if your opponent plays more than 1 keyword. And again, there are things that can manipulate that. We see with Salone, you're able to give Sentinel and Overwhelm to guys when she flips, as well as on her front side. But are you really going to play the Amnesty Officer because of Salone? I really don't think so. That's all I'm going to say. Again, now that we're hitting kind of like all this stuff, most of this stuff you're going to see are a lot of times just kind of filler cards. And that's really what you're going to meet. A lot of times after you kind of get through your 2 major colors, you're going to have a lot of filler cards in the mono colors. We have a flanking TIE interceptor with 2/2 and support. Again, doesn't give any on attack triggers, but being able to attack with a unit is very nice. This is going to see some play in 100% in Vader JTL, just because you can easily play it for 2 and then support one of your vehicles and then have that vehicle swing attack and then using Vader's effect to gain a TIE token is just very, very nice. Again, that's one of the ways to choke that Vader JTL is that you just choke them out of non-token vehicle units to swing with, and then they basically can't do anything with it. So this is going to be a nice fighter for that leader 100%. We have the Mandalorian Scout of when defeated, exhaust a friendly resource. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty nice. Again, being able to exhaust enemy units or exhaust resources is pretty nice. We don't see a lot of, funny enough, we haven't seen a lot of exhaust friendly like, when defeated, exhaust a ready friendly resource. Oh, I didn't realize that's on us. I thought it was just a resource. No, that actually sucks. That's a horrible effect. Yeah, sure, it's got Mandalorian on it, but let's just move on. Wow, I didn't realize that was friendly. I mean, I guess a 2/3/3 is not too bad, even with the payoff, but I think that I don't like that effect at all written on that card. And then you have Mayor's Major Domo. Action exhaust. Discard a card from your hand. Exhaust a unit. Most decks, this is not going to work because, again, keeping your hand up is pretty nice. But there could be chances maybe where this is okay, but not really all that great, especially in any card game where hand advantage is always going to be the biggest thing that you need. You have the Fairy Droid of when played, give 4 damage tokens to this unit. So basically, it can become a 5/5 for 1 turn. After that, it's a 1/5 for the rest of the game. So I hope you like your 5/5 droid for 1 use. Then we have Jod Nawwood. We've already talked about him of his Sentinel. Then when played, may pay for if you do choose an arena, exhaust each enemy unit in that arena. Again, like I said, he's then if you think of it that way, he's a 7 cost, or you have to pay 3 credit tokens and then 4 to get that effect to go off. He's still not all that good, even after all this. He's okay. There are better ways to exhaust arenas, like just watch this, the card that can bounce a 6 cost unit back to your opponent's hand and then exhaust the arena you bounce the unit from. That's a little better than Mr. Jod Nawwood. We have Remnants Lookouts of when play, look at your opponent's hand. You may discard a card from it. If you do, they draw a card. Again, there is that whole aspect here of, yeah, they get to draw a card, but again, someday you don't have to discard a card. You may discard a card from it. What's more impactful about this as being a 3-drop and a 3/3 is the fact you get to look at your opponent's hand and have hand knowledge of what your opponent is doing. There are, of course, ways to deal with your opponent's hand, like if you know for a fact you need to get something out of their hand that's going to hurt you in the late game or hurt you now or hurt you in the mid game, being able to remove that probably is really nice. And overall, it's not too bad. I mean, it's literally just get to see your opponent's hand, maybe discard a card. Sure, they get to draw, but you get to know kind of what your opponent's plays are, how you need to structure your hand around their plays. It's always just something nice to being able to kind of have that like knowledge in the back of your head of like where your opponent's playing and how they're playing it and all of that. As well as this is not too bad to play for Sabe, because again, Sabe really wants to be able to hand rip and hand control. This is actually not too bad of a unit for Sabe, especially for a 3/3, meaning that on your 4th turn you can swing with this and then use Sabe to look at the top 2 and discard 1. So it's not too bad. I kind of like it. We got the Helix Starfighter. We already talked about this. Of when played, if your opponent controls a space unit, give a shield token to this unit. Otherwise, give 2 advantage tokens to this unit. So basically, it's a nice little ship to come down and potentially give 2 advantage tokens. It's nice for Vader as well, but that's really about it. We have Unsanctioned Patrol with support and Saboteur. So basically, when the support allows you to give Saboteur, meaning that you can get 2 attacks with that. which is pretty nice. Again, it does have the resistance keyword, so if you wanted to do Holdo Yellow for some reason, hey, I guess we got a couple cards you can play with that. But nonetheless, it's an okay card. I mean, being able to attack with something and then giving something support, it's not, or getting something saboteur is not too bad. We have Halo with support, and then when attack into the defending unit was defeated, give a shield token to this unit. So basically, in essence, this one really wants you to attack your opponent's units, and then being able to give shield tokens that whatever you attacked did survive the battle. So something to consider. It's not the worst like card out there with the support tag with the new support keyword attached to it, but again, it is attack and the unit. The only thing is that if whatever you swung at your opponent's unit dies in the combat, this doesn't get to trigger that when attack ends. But it could. Still, it's not overly that bad. Now, another legendary. So we have two legendaries that I 100% are going to be going in Qui-Gon Jinn for me. Elzar Main. While you control a force leader, this unit enters play ready. So basically, you flip either, like I said, you can either do it on Avar, or you can do it in Qui-Gon. I think Qui-Gon's just a little better for this one. You can flip Elzar, you can flip Qui-Gon, then play Elzar, and then being able to melee restand with him, and then when played, distribute up to 5 advantage tokens among other friendly units. Then opponent searches twice that many cards at the top of their deck for an event, reveal it, and draw it. Now, yes, we do know that searching the top 5 of our opponent's deck for an event does mean they could get something from it. But again, if our opponent doesn't have an event that they see in those top 5, because again, remember, events are these keywords here, top 5, we just literally had them search top 5 cards and then throw those top 5 cards at the bottom of their deck. So we can get rid of the top 5 cards of our opponent's deck by just simply playing him. Not mentioning that, because like I said, you flip Qui-Gon, he comes in ready to attack. You can basically give out tokens to other units like Qui-Gon Jinn or anything like that, and then Qui-Gon can bounce him back to your hand so you can do it all over again and then play a 5-drop out for the turn. So yeah, I don't think he's the best legendary out there by any means. I think he's definitely restricted on what decks are really going to play him, because he can only come in standing on a force unit, on a force leader, and I like that we randomly have these cards that have control a force leader. When we're running out of, I don't think we've seen another leader that really has. Maybe some leaders have the force tag because it just says force as a leader, so that is interesting. We'll have to I don't know how many other leaders besides like LOF leaders have like the force tag attached to them. But nonetheless, that is something to think about. The fact is that because LOF rotates after we get set 9, that this may lose some of its viability, because unless more leaders come out that have the force tag, there is that. But a lot of the really good stuff for like force style leaders are going to be rotating out of the format. So a little bit of the odd side of that. But still, it's a nice, neat card, specifically for right now what we have in the format. So like I said, it's a cool card for like Qui-Gon Jinn to play with, or maybe even Avar to play with. Still, I really do like this 100%. Tatooine Sand Beast, it just comes in hidden. By the way, 6/8/4 coming in hidden. That is nasty. But nonetheless, it's just filler. But still, it's a really cool filler card for you to play specifically in Seal, because this could be a nuisance for a lot of people. We have Kira. This unit gets -1 for each card in your hand. When played, you may discard a card from your hand if you do 3 damage to a unit. So basically, in essence, she's someone that you don't really want a big hand. You kind of want a very small, limited hand so that you can come in and be maybe like 7 or even 8 attack on it, and being a discard to deal 3 damage to a unit is very nice as well. So, pretty neat card, 100%. We have Heightened Awareness. Attached unit gains when the regroup phase starts, giving advantage token to this unit. Again, just a nice way to pump up your unit with an extra 2 health points, but aiming to get an advantage token isn't horrible. I don't think it's really the best, but it's not horrible. We have Preparation. When played, exhaust the attached unit. So in essence, you do get to be able to like put it under one of your guys. Sure, that guy gets exhausted, but you do get a +2, +1 from that. So you do have to be mindful that you could get that the additional +2, +1 can come in handy for just exhausting one of your own units. You can put it on their Sentinel though, and then you can give it doesn't matter if it goes exhausted. Who cares? You'd also just throw it under one of your own exhausted units you played that turn. The win play trigger doesn't even affect you because that unit already got played exhausted. We have Camtono. Attached unit gains when attack ends. Look at the top 2 cards of your deck. Look at the top card of your deck. If it costs 2 or less, you may play it for free. Very interesting card there. Being able to, of course, anytime the attack ends, look at the top card of your deck. If it costs 2 or less, you may play it for free. There's some very interesting things you could probably may potentially do with this, of playing a very like low weenie style deck where you're able to like play guys out pretty cheaply. A leader that immediately comes to mind is the Chewbacca from Law, because Chewbacca technically blows up his own resources to do a lot of his gimmicks. I could see Chewbacca playing this in the deck just because you might be able then to play a lot of your guys out for free without, and then just kind of, have some of those higher cost guys out in your hand and all that. Still, very interesting card. I think it has some interesting playabilities. I don't know how much of that is playability and all that, but it's okay. I think there's some interesting things you could do with that. Like I said, I think the Chewbacca leader from Law is something to consider for it. We have another legendary in Improvised Identity. Oh, I'm a stormtrooper. See? Attached to a ground unit. Attached unit gains action. Search top 3 cards of your deck for a ground unit and discard it. Then you may attack with this unit. For this attack, that unit gains the discarded unit's abilities. Use the ability once each round. So, I mean, yes, you do get a nice +3 to your health. Is it good? I would call it meh at best. I like the gimmick of what it does. Like, I like the gimmick of the card. I think this is a kind of funny gimmick for a card, but it's the same gimmick of like Death Star plan, like everything like that. I mean, sure, it's actually kind of funny. Maybe something for Twin Suns, because then you might be able to get some stupid stuff for Twin Suns. But I don't think it's the worst legendary Yellow's got that came out in Yellow. It's not the best. I definitely feel the 2 Force units are a whole lot better. Kalen Beck and then Elzar Main are just a whole lot better. But I don't think this is like the worst legendary in Yellow. It's a fun gimmick, and I may just play it just for how dumb and gimmicky it is. Like, oh, I gotta show you how to play the game here. Yeah, I'm this dude. The big problem is it's a discard of that card, so just be mindful that, yeah, you get the abilities of whatever you discarded, but the abilities are kind of sucky. You really can't do much. And again, you don't have to discard charge cards and discard it. So you are forced, literally, if you decide to go for the action of this card, you are literally forced to discard one of your ground units. Of course, you could always whiff it. But honestly, I think you're not going to have to, because if you whiff it and you actually had a ground unit, there could be consequences. I don't know how that would be FAQ'd, that you are forced to have to discard a ground unit if you can discard a ground unit. It's just that then you may attack with this unit. So, I mean, it's okay. It's a weird gimmick that I don't think is good, but it's a fun little gimmick at best. It just kind of sucks because you don't get anything other than the abilities. So if the ground unit has no abilities, you don't get anything out of it other than an attack. So that's just your one downfall there. So it's a gimmick. It's a fun little gimmick, and you might go to your locals and try it out and go, hey! Anyways, Diplomatic, Pagnarity, we have already discussed the card here with Mr. Jack Black. Exhaust a friendly unit and an enemy unit. If you do, give 2 advantage tokens to that friendly unit. It's not too bad. Again, I do always say exhausting is just very, very nice overall. Full of surprises. Return an upgrade that costs 2 or less to its owner's hand. Give a shield token to a unit. Again, it's pretty nice to be able to like get rid of any upgrade on your opponent's shields, experience advantages, or anything like that, and then give a shield token. But that's really about it. There aren't that many upgrades that are like 2 costs other than like experience, other than like with the ones I just kind of said. but it's not too bad, not too great. Keep them talking. Exhaust at the 2 units that each cost 3 or less. Honestly, there are just better cards to exhaust units, in my opinion, in yellow. If you're looking to exhaust 2 units, just go with Bogged Down in Procedures. That easily can exhaust 2 yellow units as long as you reveal a yellow unit. I like, though, the art. I like that Sabine is like trying to is ashamed of Ezra's acting over here. I don't know what scene this is from Star Wars Rebels. Never really watched the show, but I like the art. If this even happens in Star Wars Rebels. We have Master Stroke. Attack with a unit, it gets +1 for this attack for each unit the defending player controls in its arena. So this is actually pretty nice. I think this could see some interesting fringe play just because of how interesting of a card it is and what it can really do. Being able to gain +1 for the attack for each defending player unit they control. So basically, if you attack in the space and your opponent has, say, JTL Vader, and they have, 5 units out, you can get a +5, potentially win the game. There are some very interesting things you can do with that for sure. So it's a pretty fun card. I don't know if it's going to be all that much playable, but it's a pretty fun one indeed. Sense Through the Force. Poor Kanan's son, he never got to see him. He died in a fireball. I know, spoiler warning, but Rebels has been out for a long time, folks. I'm just waiting for the card of when we get a card where, of course, Kanan's holding back the fire and pushing Hera and Ezra away. And then soon return getting his vision back. It does suck, doesn't it? Sense Through of course, choose a number, then search the top 5 cards of your deck for a card to reveal it and draw it. If it costs the chosen number, you may give 3 advantage tokens to a force unit. So basically, it only really helps against force, so you'd have to play in a force strategy. But if you know kind of what your basic numbers are, if you kind of know that you're only looking for a 3 in your top 5, you're going to see a 3. So basically, you're going to have to average kind of what you expect to see in your deck. It's going to be kind of like it literally will be like sensing the force on your deck to then draw your cards. But it's an okay card at best. It may not get a lot of, you may not be able to get the advantage tokens to a force unit, but you can still easily just play this for 2 to just look at the top 5, choose a random number, just look at the top 5 cards of your deck for a card, reveal it, and draw it. It literally does not care that you have to reveal a guy with, let's say you say 3. You look at top 5 and you grab a 5. The only aspect of revealing the 3 here is that if you chose correctly with a number, you can get 3 advantage tokens to a force unit. I think that the top effect will see a little more play than this bottom effect, but if you're in a force strategy, maybe you can get this to go off. But nonetheless, I do actually like looking at the top 5 and being able to just grab anything you want by just literally stating any number you want in the end. So I think it could see some interesting play. I think being able to search and sculpt your hand of what you need or what you're looking for is just very important. That's why I've always thought about Faith in Friends being just a really good card overall, even though I think a lot of people don't really respect it as a good card. I think being able to look at the top 3 and grab something you need is just very impactful. And then we have Far, Far Away. A galaxy far, far away. Return a friendly non-leader unit to its owner's hand. If you do, return an enemy non-leader unit to its owner's hand. So basically, bounce back one of your guys to bounce one of your opponent's guys. Again, just really, really nice. So it's always going to be nice to be able to disrupt your opponent's plays from stuff like that. Never get anything wrong. I think being able to bounce stuff and then disturb your opponent's plays, having the reforce to play that again is always very nice. So it's a pretty cool card overall, but do be mindful that you do have to bounce your own thing to bounce an opponent's thing. You can't just go, I don't have anything to bounce, I'm going to then bounce your guy. No, you have to bounce one of yours to then bounce one of your opponents. But still, it's a pretty interesting card indeed. So from there, yellow is control. It's control. There's some really good control stuff. We got a lot of support out of here. We got some interesting stuff. I got some pretty good legendaries. I think really only 2, like Kalen Beck and Elzron Main. I mean, that's really about it for the legendaries that felt good. I think Gorian Shards is going to be good, but I think it's going to be good depending on the deck you play, and it may require maybe a couple more sets to make it good in Premiere, but I think it does have some legs in Eternal with the Boba Fett, with the Cad Bane from Eternal. Other than that, it's pretty good. There's definitely some things I'm definitely looking forward to trying out, like Beck and Elzar, especially coming up with Qui-Gon. And I do kind of like some of the arts in here. Like I said, I think Faithful Goodbye isn't that bad of a card. I just like the art. I just wish all the characters were behind Din Djarin here when he says goodbye to Grogu. I think it would have made a little more impactful of that card to feel a little more impactful to that scene. But nonetheless, it is more about him saying goodbye to Grogu than the others saying goodbye to Grogu. But nonetheless, yellow's not that bad of a color. We did get one kind of really meh, but kind of funny legendary. Is it good? No, but it is kind of a funny one. But that's pretty much it. We're moving on to our last three colors: your villainy, your heroic, and your colorless. We have a mouse droid with raid 1, and then when play the next Imperial unit you play costs 1 less. Really nice just being able to kind of play cheaply your Imperial units. The Advent Navigator. Hey, look, First Order got 1 card in this entire set. The Resistance got 3 cards in this entire set. Resistance got 1 card it can play in the coloration you typically would think about for playing Resistance. And that was it. Their other 2 are in yellow, and I don't even know how many Resistance cards are even in yellow. But yeah, Resistance and First Order just feel like they aren't going anywhere. I hope that maybe Homeworlds will give some more support. Phasma was a very fun leader to play in pre-rotation, but now she sucks, and Holdo absolutely is horrible. Then again, she was horrible in pre-rotation. But still, I'm glad we got a First Order card. Yay! When played, give 2 advantage tokens to a space unit. Not too bad. I mean, there are some very interesting things you could probably do with this, depending if your deck is heavy in space. But still, not too bad of a card. Imperial Loyalist, a 2/2/2 Sentinel. Again, most of these villainy cards are never going to see play at all. Most of them are just here to be filler cards for you when you go play your sealed events. Mandalorian Super Commandos. White Control Leader unit. This unit gets +2/+0. So basically, if your leader's out, you can have a 4/5 on the battlefield, which isn't too bad. Marok's Fiend Fighter with support, overwhelm, and then while this unit gets +2 while attacking a damaged unit. So basically, the 2 things you get for support are going to be okay. I mean, you have to literally attack a damaged unit to get an extra +2, but you do get overwhelm, which is pretty nice. Meaning that you can overwhelm into some things and deal damage to them, but kind of, it's okay. Not the best, but it's okay. Then we have the Jet Trooper Squad, just a vanilla 5/4 for 4. That's a pretty nice card. We've already talked about Darth Vader, the specialty rare card, of course, from the Chancellor Palpatine starter deck. A 5/4/6 shielded, and while this unit is ready, just gain Sentinel, which is pretty nice, being able to be readied as a coming out shielded as well, and having Sentinel is pretty nice. Remnant Trooper Corps, coming in hidden, a 5/6/5, coming in hidden is pretty nice there. It's a nice card to play and then have a hidden guy. The Eye of Sion, again, a legendary for, of course, the villainy tag, but this one I really did like more or less. Of action, tap it, search the top 8 cards of your deck for a unit that costs the same as or less than this unit's power. Play it for free. It enters play ready. I do feel the Eye of Sion is going to see some very good competitive play. Being able to just play out guys that are 5 cost or less, and being able to play them readied is going to be really nice. If you can get this thing to get some more power, like advantage tokens or experience tokens, this could get a little out of hand very fast, very quick. So I really do like this card 100%. I do expect maybe see this as a little bit of a meta viability card. We have Exploit Advantage. Defeat a friendly upgrade if you do draw 2 cards. It's an okay thing, but with advantage tokens, being able to get put onto guys that are rested, being able to maybe blow up those advantage tokens to draw 2 cards isn't that bad overall. I mean, overall, drawing cards is still going to just be a very good thing. Just gives you more hand advantage. Then we have 1 must destroy to create. Defeat a friendly non-leader unit. Then you may play that unit from your discard pile for free. You know, that's actually not too bad of a card. This might be something that we'll see maybe fringe play or some very interesting play in villainy style decks. I mean, it literally allows you to kill anything and then play that unit for free. So you could do some very strange things of killing support units, killing win played units, killing win defeated units, and then replaying those units again for free. So there's some interesting things I think you can easily do with this card. It'll be very interesting to see what people think of doing with this card, but I think this card could see some very interesting play for sure. I don't think it's going to be a lot of major play, but I think there's some random fringe play certain deck strategies could do with one must destroy to create. So overall, villainy is okay. A lot of these cards are just straight up filler cards for sealed events, and most will probably never see any form of real competitive play. I think the Eye of Sion and One Must Destroy to Create are definitely going to see probably going to see some play in some decks, depending on the strategy. So from there, we move on to Heroic. We got Nell. Again, I've never seen Skeleton Crew, but I know they're one of the main characters from Skeleton Crew. When played on attack, the next unit you play this phase with 1 less power enters play ready. I mean, there are some things you can do with that. There are some very interesting things you can do with that, but let's just move on. That's such a tight gimmick of how that wants to work that it will work only a very few times, and that's really about it. So I mean, there are some very interesting one attack point units out there, but are you really going to be able to? Is that really going to be good? I really don't think so. But still, it's not the worst card around, but it's not the best. Covert Veteran, a 2/2/3 with Hidden, not too bad. Imperial Defector, a 2/3/2. When play, look at your opponent's hand. I mean, again, like I said, being able to be with hand knowledge is pretty nice. I just wish there was something more to do with that hand knowledge more than just stare at your opponent's hand. There are better ways to stare at my opponent's hand than a 2-drop 2/3 when played skill, but it's okay. Zealous Soldier, when played, give an advantage token to this unit, so it comes down and becomes a 3/3 while, before it attacks, and then goes back to being, before it attacks and defends, and then goes into becoming a 2/3 again. Still not too bad. I mean, being able to put out 1 extra damage point is still very nice. And N5 Sentry Droid, 4/2 Sentinel. That's about it for that. Yellow Ace Bomber with support and an on attack if this unit is upgraded, deal 2 damage to a base. This, I think, funny enough, I might just play inside my Han JTL strategy, just because if I can put Han Solo under this, not only does Han Solo allow you to deal a little bit more damage to it, not only does Han Solo give you this, you can easily just be able to utilize the skill, as well as it is a fighter, so Luke Skywalker can actually do some things with this as well, which is pretty interesting. You can flip Luke onto this, and then Luke can swing. It's a fighter, meaning that Luke's effect triggers, and then because Luke is attached to it, then you can do 2 extra damage to the base. Meaning that as long as it's upgraded with a pilot, it can always deal 4 damage naturally plus the pilot. So I, funny enough, can actually see myself playing this just because I liked it on attack trigger. Now again, it does have the support, so the support on attack trigger isn't too bad, but I like just this fighter's on attack trigger just for JTL style decks like Han JTL and Luke JTL. We have the Gallo Free Transport of when defeated, give 2 advantage tokens to a friendly unit. That's really about it. A 4/3/5 in space. We've already talked about this Anakin Skywalker, the 5/4/6. That's kind of, by the way, an opposite. I didn't actually realize that they're actually opposites of their power. This is a 4/6. This is a 6/4 because this is when he's evil. This is when he's good. Hidden Saboteur, and then when played, give a shield token to another friendly unit. Again, not too bad of a card. We have Rebel Infiltrators with Restore and then Saboteur for 5/4/6. Again, okay. Most of this stuff from white and black are a lot of times just straight up filler cards, just for when you go into your drafts or your sealed events that you can allow you to get a little more cards to play in your deck depending on what leader you chose. Choose your path. I like this has the Force and the Mandalorian tag. I didn't realize that had the Mandalorian tag. So meaning that you can actually play this in Bo-Katan to allow you to use it. Allow you to have if you played a card with Mandalorian, which is pretty nice. So if you have a way to search Mandalorian cards or Force cards, that's pretty interesting. Choose one if you control a Force unit, heal 5 damage on your base. If you control a Mandalorian unit, create a Mandalorian token, give an advantage token to it. So basically, in essence, you can, depending on what you do, you just have a choice here. So you can put it in Bo-Katan to allow you to create another Mandalorian token, giving advantage so that then you could trigger out and bring out Bo-Katan a little earlier. But if you're in the Force, you can just use it to heal 5 damage from your base. Which, don't get me wrong, I think I might play this as like a couple of copies, like in a Qui-Gon Jinn deck, just because then I have a Force unit. I can just use this to heal. Because again, Qui-Gon Jinn, once you get the ball rolling and you have enough units that you can bounce around and play different things out of your hand, costs of stuff isn't all that bad to worry about. So, I like it. It's okay. It's not all that great, but it's okay. And hey, Grassroot Resistance is back again. I believe this is a Secrets of Power card. Now, this makes sense to be reprinted because this rotates once Homeworlds comes out. We will be in the next rotation format. So Homeworlds is right before we rotate. So when we get set 10 after Homeworlds, we will rotate. So it's nice to have this get reprinted because once set 10 drops, whatever the name of set 10 will be, we will only have legal in Premiere of Law, Ash, Homeworlds, Icons, which is going to be a little micro set that's going to reprint a bunch of stuff, older cards, and print some newer stuff. It's only about 193 cards. I don't know how much of that is reprints and how much of that is new cards to the game. And then, of course, whatever set 10 is. So, yeah. Nonetheless, it's nice to see it come back. It's deal 3 damage to unit. 3 heal 3 damage to your base. It's just a nice way to like do some little chip damage and heal your base. So white, I mean, heroic, there's some okay stuff, but again, most of it's fillers. Some of it's a specialty rare card from, of course, the Luke Skywalker deck, and a few of the, and well, at least one of them, 2 of them are okay for what I think I want to use it for. Like I said, I think I could use this for Luke or Han from JTL. For colorless folks, most of the time these are just straight filler cards. You don't see this outside of sealed in any capacity. Lep, Rat Catcher, when played, deal 1 damage to a ground unit. That's great. Not much else to talk about that. Moss, Espa, Watermonger, when played, draw a card, and if you do, discard a card. The Nodi Mobile Pod, a 3/4 vanilla. Faith in the Empire. This unit costs 1 less to play on an Imperial unit. Get a +1/+2. Upgrade the Way of the Mandalore. This unit costs 1 less to play on a Mandalorian. Just get an extra +2, and then a new order. Give an advantage token to up to 2 units. So that's basically it, folks. The colorless, there's no reason to talk about them. They're always just kind of filler cards, and they always will forever be filler cards, except for when the Death Star plan came out in JTL and we got a legendary in there. Except it was kind of, it's a fun gimmicky card. And I guess LOF gave us, well, I guess LOF, funny enough, actually gave us a competitive, actually legendary in that card. And that was, of course, the constructed lightsaber. It also gave us the Father, but the Father never made any appearance at all in any deck. Unless you're playing some weird jank strategy that you needed the Father for. But yeah, I mean, it did give us that. So it did give us that legendary. And then, but most of the time, this is filler. They're never going to see any play besides sealed events just to fill out decks. That's basically it. Most time you see gray stuff, it's just to fill out decks. Well, folks, that is it for everything. Overall, the set is a lot of fun. I think there's a lot of interesting cards in here. A lot of legendaries are very powerful. A lot of legendaries are, they're okay. And some of them are, yeah, those are cards that got printed. And then there's a lot of cards in here, I think, that, like this got printed. And I'm like, yeah, it exists. This got printed. That exists. But nonetheless, there are a lot of very interesting things to play in this set. There's a lot of fun things to play in this set. The one thing I am going to say is that this set has a weird gimmick of that not a lot of the leaders to me feel powerful. They kind of feel like they're just there. Leaders exist, and they're just there. Like I said, I think powerful leaders that are going to make some very big splashes in this upcoming meta. I think Luke, Salone, Ezra, are the only 3 leaders, in my opinion, that I think actually have some very strong legs to stand on in this competitive format. This is an aggro leader. This is a nuisance of a leader to get through. And this is a healing leader that just heals forever unless your opponent deals with it. Other leaders I think that could have some very good potential. I think 𝐂𝐏 is up there and 𝐿𝐷 is up there, where I think that they have pretty good legs to stand on in upcoming meta. I think Shin's a little better than 𝐂𝐏, but that's just me. And there's some pretty fun leaders. Like I think 𝐒𝐓𝐀𝐘 is a pretty fun leader. I think Moth Gideon is a hilariously fun leader. I think Grand Admiral Thrawn, hilariously enough, I think is an okay leader. I don't think he's going to make any meta splash, but he's a pretty fun one. And I think the Armor is a pretty fun one as well. And out of just pure jank, I just like what Bo-Katan can do. But nonetheless, guys, it's going to be an interesting set to see what happens. Again, we have no idea where this meta is going to be or what's going to be good or anything like that. Again, for a lot of people testing for the Galactic Championship, they won't know at all. I mean, they're literally testing what they believe to be good from post the Law format, what the meta was in Law post coming into this format. Because there could be fringe decks like when someone in my locals really thinks that maybe Lando JTL has a chance in this upcoming format because there's some interesting things for him to play against, that he could maybe take games and all that. But yeah, that's pretty much it, folks. I think it's another fun set. I think there's some really cool things. I think they really did power creep some legendaries to be a little stronger. And then there's some legendaries that probably needed a rewrite. And there's plenty of cards in here that are, you know, okay, filler cards for a set that you always need. But anyways, I think we have almost everything here. Let's just do one quick look. We got our showcases and all that. And there's some pretty interesting looking showcases. I don't think they are the best. Like the Ezra, I definitely would like to get my hands on an Ezra. That actually looks really cool. I like the 𝐿𝐷 one as well. The Bo-Katan one, I like that one. I like all the Mandos behind her. Oh, that some of them are like the Phoenix Shroud. The Armor is pretty cool. I like because she's got all their stuff behind it. The Moth Gideon's kind of meh. The 𝐂𝐏's okay as well. I just don't like it because it's the Cad Bane from the Boba Fett TV show, and he looks just really weird in live action. They should have drawn him a little less. The Vane's pretty cool. Like I said, if I was to want a showcase out of this set, I think I would want the Ezra just because I like Ezra's art. We don't have the Thrawn yet. There are leaders. We don't have Thrawn. Grogu's a lot less like 1,000-yard stare in this one than his normal leader art. We don't have the 𝐒𝐓𝐀𝐘 yet. So, I mean, we're still missing some of the leader showcases, but we're also still, I suppose if I release this the week I want to release this, will be 2 weeks out from pre-release. Otherwise, we'll be a week out from otherwise, this will release on pre-release week. So, yeah. Hopefully, I'm releasing this the week prior to pre-release, so for you all to check out. We did get some prestiges. We do have some of the prestige foils as well. So, I mean, Whistling, it's interesting to see that like cards that aren't like named units are getting cards. Like Whistling Birds is getting a prestige. I like that art. The Corran Shards, Corsair, the N1 Mandos, N1 Starfire, the Eye of Sion. That's a really nice prestige art. I like that one a lot. And then, of course, we have some other prestiges here. We have the these ones are the foil ones, but doesn't really matter because technically these comes in non-foil and they already have the numbers on them as well. But the Armorer is pretty cool. The T6 Shuttle, the Dark Saber is neat. Far, Far Away, I like that art. Like I said, there's also, I do really hope that we get a prestige art of the Fateful Farewell. I think that would be a really cool card to see in prestige. Fateful Goodbye, I think that would be pretty cool to see in prestige just because I would like to see everyone in the art. One Must Destroy to Create is pretty neat. Interesting. I think this is actually supposed to be the scene from the Ahsoka show. And they brought back wanted posters. This is so far I guess not the worst, but this is not these do not look good at all. I hate wanted posters. I hate them with a passion. And then we have Elzar Main is, okay, what art style are we playing for prestiges right now? We have this art style for prestiges, which is pretty cool. Then we have wanted posters again. And then we have this, whatever art style this is coming from, and kind of what looks like the propaganda poster, like the propaganda posters that came out from that was Secrets of Power, when we had propaganda posters, one-in posters, which I hated one-in posters. Why we're bringing these back again is beyond me. I don't know what art style we're planning. Are we planning most is going to be this art style and some are going to be these art styles? Like, can we just not have a consistent art style for these? But nonetheless, I think there's some really neat art styles. I like these, some of these ones with the main art style for, I would suppose, Ashes, like this really neat hand-drawn art style. I really like that 100%. These need to go away. No more one-in posters. But that's it, folks. You guys can let me know your thoughts down in the comments on the entirety of Ashes of the Empire, what you're most excited for, what you're most excited to play, and let me know all your thoughts as well as the prestiges, what showcases you're hoping to pull if you get lucky to pull one, and what your thoughts are on prestiges. And with that said, guys, I hope you are ready for the upcoming new format. Hope you guys are testing. Hope you guys are checking out content creators like myself to see what we are doing and what we're talking about. And of course, guys, comment down below, like I said, all your thoughts on Ashes of the Empire, what you are most excited to play, what you're most excited to hope that does well for meta reasons, and what you guys hope for this upcoming set. And give me your very early predictions on what you think is going to be Home Worlds gimmick. I would really like to see Worlds come into Star Wars Unlimited, because I think that's very much a aspect of Star Wars is Worlds, and I'd like them to do some way with that. But nonetheless, guys, let me know all your thoughts down in the comments. And while you guys are commenting, do make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and ring the bell so you know if my videos go live for you. And we'll see you here next time. I'm On Dragons TCG.